Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 Career Mode, episode 116 today for the German Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to check that one out before you see this one at the British Grand Prix. A great home battle for myself and George Russell around Silverstone, but now we come to Hockenheim, which has very quickly become one of my favourite circuits on this game. I mean, it always was really in the F1 games when we were back here in F1 2016, and of course we had to take a few years of it not being in the F1 game, but I'm glad it's here, at least on this game. Kind of a tragedy in a way that's not going to be there for 2020, but I mean, obviously a lot of things are not going to be there in 2020 in real life as it stands right now, but that's not the point. Anyway, we get into this episode then, and things are looking interesting. I've only just clocked that we've had 4 wins in a row now for the Renault Formula 1 team, so the dominance is really starting to come in now. Ever since Canada, you know, the win for way back Canada and France, and of course myself, Austria, and the British Grand Prix. And of course, our 2 wins in a row have been especially important because of the DNF we had at the French Grand Prix, and also the DNF we had before that at the Monaco GP, trying to get ourselves back into this championship fight as we get towards halfway through this season. Of course, we've done well to now leapfrog Verstappen in 2nd place in the standings, but we're still, you know, in relative career mode terms, quite some way away from Lucas Weber, so we've still got to do a great job here today, carry on the momentum, but I feel like we've really hit a stride now, and like I said, Germany has become a really favourite circuit of mine around here. I do like to drive, especially with the kind of higher cars, with the high downforce and speed. It really is a very flowing circuit, so looking forward to it. Let's go to qualifying and see we do over 1 lap.
Welcome back to qualifying, where we're waiting for the lights to turn green in the pit lane to signify the start of the session here at the Hockenheim ring for this weekend's German Grand Prix. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Fermé regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both a qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays, though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias, and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
The weather is all nice and sunny, and it is beaming here at the Hockenheim ring here today. And of course, remember, this is the home Grand Prix of Lucas Weber, so back-to-back home GPs actually for the Renault team. So kind of nice how it works out like that. And of course, the team had its home Grand Prix a few episodes ago at France. So hopefully, like was the case at Britain, we can have a good one. I'm not really hoping Weber will have a good home Grand Prix, to be honest, obviously for our sake, but we're going to have to see. I mean, his AI is very quick. I'm not too sure if, like Russell, remember last episode, where he just got so much quicker at Britain. I don't know if he has any coding, Lucas Weber, to, you know, get faster at his home GP. We're going to have to see. I don't remember it being the case last season, but as we go through qualifying then, gaining a decent amount of time on this 2nd flying lap. That first one was pretty much a banker because we're down to P11 as it stands. Weber on provisional pole. We come through the last corner, then winding through about 4/10 gain there, nearly up into P6 that'll be, but it'll drop us down to P10 by the time we get through to our 3rd flyer. So it's actually looking super competitive here around Hockenheim. Weber still on provisional pole, but we're down to P10. What can we do to improve? A few tenths gained, but only up into P7, and that is a very anticlimactic ending to qualifying there for me, because that's it. That's my 3rd run, and I'm actually down to P10 then by the end of it. We're only just under 3/10 slower than Lucas Weber, and that's dropped us down 10 positions there. He's on pole position, the home favourite is on pole, and I'm down in P10. That is actually really not that great. That's really underwhelming, actually, so we're going to have to do a lot in the race, but in a way, it does show how close the field is at a circuit like this, where 3/10, I mean, look back at Season 1 and Season 2, 3/10 would have been the difference between like P1 and only P4 sometimes, whereas this is a difference of 10 positions, but it means we're going to have to do that much more work now to even catch up to Weber, to try and catch him for 1st place, because obviously by the time I've caught up to P2, I'm hoping I can catch up to P2, he might have a worldly lead, so this might be quite a difficult one for us. And unfortunately, it may be quite a good home Grand Prix for our teammate. We'll find out. Let's go to Sunday and see what we do in the race.
Good afternoon and welcome to a place that is very special to us all in the Formula 1 community. It's the Hockenheim ring, home of the German Grand Prix. Always good for a close scrap is Hockenheim. Think back to Alonso, Ricciardo, Vettel as recently as 2014, and I'm expecting some more strong racing today. We're racing in the Rhine Valley this weekend at the home of many of the sport's finest competitors. The 2.8-mile Hockenheim ring requires precision through the technical stadium section and great raw speed down the long, flat-out curve towards the popular overtaking zone of the Turn 6 hairpin. Watch out for a lot of wheel-to-wheel action there today. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Now, we probably ought to start by discussing Sebastian Vettel. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Great work from Lucas Weber yesterday sees him start from pole, and it's Lance Stroll in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, George Russell and Kvyat, Norris, Butler, the engineer, and Pierre Gasly, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton and Magnussen, Raikkonen, Bottas, Romain Grosjean and Charles Leclerc. Giovinazzi and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So it's a little bit overcast here then at Hockenheim, but the rain I think should be staying away. Emphasis on should. Obviously you never know with the F1 game really, but definitely is looking a lot gloomier than it was yesterday. But that's hopefully not going to be a sign of things for me in this Grand Prix. Hoping to move forward. We know we have a quick car in the race, so in theory we should be able to slice our way through at least up to the two Ferrari cars. Then that might be the issue of getting past Verstappen and Russell, who are looking very quick and quicker by the race really, especially Russell last episode. I mean, if last season's to go by, from now on, Russell's AI is going to be a real threat. Not only Verstappen's, he will now be a threat, just like he was for me being in the same team last season. But obviously our teammate is on pole, so that's also another thing to factor in. So we've got a lot of things to worry about actually in this race, and it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. But I guess you can't really just have an easy sailing one like it has been made for the last two races for us. So strategy-wise, it's a two-stop to two sets of medium tyres. The tyre wear generally has been a little bit higher on the Renault, so I think we'll be going with a two-stop rather than the one-stop strategy. I think that probably will be too much of a stretch for us today, especially if we're pushing hard to overtake cars early on here. We're going to need that aggressive strategy. So let's get into it then. From P10 on the grid, a lot of ground to make up to not only Verstappen, but also our teammate Lucas Weber, who lines up on pole position today. And so without further ado, let's get into this then as we go towards 5 red lights for the German Grand Prix here at Hockenheim. 5 lights are out and we're underway, and it's a great start for Devin Butler on the right, trying to make a move to the inside of Dan Kvyat. They're 3 wide nearly into turn 1, but in the end Butler's compromised. We've got a good entry and exit of turn 1. We're up into P7 now, and we dive down the inside. It's a massive lunge on Kvyat there to also take Lando Norris in one foul swoop, and we're up into P6. So that's the kind of an aggressive move we just needed to kickstart our Grand Prix and get back into this, because already I can just about see the Ferrari cars ahead of the likes of Sergio Perez in the second McLaren, but Norris in the other McLaren tries to go around the outside and get the position back there. Obviously that hairpin, I'll fully admit right now, the AI are godly around that hairpin, and I just can never take it. I mean, 6 seasons in, I still don't know how to take that hairpin properly compared to the AI, but there you go. But now we're on the back of Sergio Perez. Doesn't matter here because we've got the speed in the rest of the circuit, so we make up for it elsewhere, and we actually make a lovely little move to the inside, yes, on Sergio Perez. What a move that was. Such fine margins on the right-hand side there, just about found the room. Perez, I think, got on the curb, I think that was, so it unsettled his car, and then I just found enough space to nip to the inside, and we're up into P5 now, so good work here. And also, I've only just realised, in P1, it's not Lucas Weber. Weber, our teammate, has lost first position to Lance Stroll in the other Red Bull there. So the Red Bull leads, but not for too long, because you can see now, as the two Ferraris are side by side, Weber's retaking the lead of the Grand Prix. So commentators curse there for me on Lance Stroll. As I mentioned him in the lead, Weber takes it back. But here we are then, boxed in with the two Ferraris. Myself, Verstappen and Russell down the inside. It's a fantastic battle between the two Ferraris there. Russell and Verstappen side by side for pretty much now half or 2/3 of this entire lap on lap number 3 here. So great to see this fight here ahead of us, but at the moment it's not helping me out because, like I mentioned, if I get caught up in this fight too much, held up by these two, I'm not going to have enough time to catch up to Weber later on in this Grand Prix because, of course, he's in the lead now and he's now starting to pull away from Lance Stroll. But we make a nice little move round the outside of Verstappen there. Unorthodox place to make a pass on the outside of the hairpin, and Verstappen, for some reason, looking very slow there. And again, Russell appears to be the lead Ferrari this race. But now we move on to the back strip, lap number 5, tucked into the slipstream of Lance Stroll, then get the double toe off George Russell as well to make the double pass down the inside on the back straight. So we are flying here at the moment at Germany. It doesn't matter who the lead Ferrari is, we're into second place now.
Some information on Weber, they seem to have an issue.
And with that, that is perfect timing then. Our engineer told us there, you heard, Lucas Weber in first place has an issue with his car. He's got a mechanical issue that's going to slow him down, and so we can catch him up. But at the same time, Russell, unfortunately, is giving me a headache here, so we may have got past him pretty easily, but he also will be trying to re-overtake us pretty easily there because the DRS is so powerful down this long straight here at Hockenheim, and he's on the inside there, and he outbrakes me, of course. We tried this switchback move from the left to the right, try and tighten up the line and get the power down earlier, but Russell has the nerve there. Can we maybe send one to the inside here? It's going to be very close and fine margins, but we get the nose in. Russell leaves us the room there. It's so close, and once again, we're side by side having a ding-dong battle like we had at the British Grand Prix, and Russell on the inside. We've got the outside line there, and we're going to find the grip. No, not quite. I thought we were going to get the grip there and just get it done, but we can't, and so instead we dive into the pit lane at the end of that lap, and we come in because that front left tyre is absolutely cooked. At the same time as well, there's no point fighting Russell if I know Weber's also slow, because Weber, I would have overtaken him for first place by now had it not been for Russell fighting me, I think, because obviously he was going so slow with his mechanical failure. But now, because we started fighting, the best option was this, to pit under on that lap and basically try and undercut Weber, because he's going to still be slow. It'll take him a few laps to get that issue sorted. It's that classic thing where we've had it before, where it's a mechanical issue for an AI, where they're slow for a few laps, they'll speed back up later in the Grand Prix. And so we move on then. Lap 9 now. It's not been an amazing outlap for us, and George Russell has come out ahead of us there. So a little bit annoying that the Ferrari seems very quick, actually, or at least Russell's Ferrari looks very quick in this race as he's kept ahead of us there. I thought maybe I could even leapfrog him with the undercut, but no, we're now caught up behind him, and we've got a lot of cars ahead of us there. You can see that we're going to have to try and pass and cut through, because these guys all start on the mediums and are maybe going to try a one-stop from mediums to hards, I think. So we've got some overtaking to do to try and get through this traffic and then catch back up to Russell. But I feel like already I think we've solidified ourselves ahead of Weber. I'm pretty sure he pits on the same lap as Russell and has come out behind us, where I think he's yet to make one. I'm not too sure there, but we make a lovely little lunge on Romain Grosjean there. Late dive to the inside there of the stadium section, and we're up into P13 then, and a crucial move to try and keep up pace with Russell, who now makes a move on Giovinazzi in the Haas car. Lap number 10, we're going to get a toe off Giovinazzi, the Italian, but we've got nowhere to go down the inside. We're going to try and make it 3 wide, but look at Russell go the long way around. Even tries to get Vettel there, who's going very slow in the Williams car. In the end, we have to settle for just the overtake on the Italian and sticking behind Russell for another lap then. Onto lap 11, you can see pushing the car to the limits there with a bit of oversteer, and into turn 1, Vettel brake checking Russell myself there and backing us up quite a fair bit there. So the German, obviously, it's his Grand Prix as well. Obviously, Vettel hasn't been at the forefront of this career mode for a long time now, but he's trying to do his best job he can at his home GP. But lo and behold, he lets Russell through pretty easily, annoyingly, and so now I have to go ahead and overtake him, but we get a good toe on Russell, so no bother. We go around the outside, but Russell with a massive dive, and look at Vettel! Vettel's made it 3 wide. So what did I say? The man who may not be the forefront of the series anymore, he's still putting up a good old fight for his home fans. Look at him in the slow Williams car. He's just re-overtaken myself and Russell. Russell sends it down the inside there. I'm not able to make the move. Either of us can't make the move there, so we're stuck behind Sebastian Vettel for another lap then. Russell eventually makes the move, and we have to go on the outside there and get a little bit creative with the racing line to get the move done on Vettel. But fair play to Sebastian Vettel. I mean, you know, still puts up a decent fight there. You know, most people just give up at that point and just let the faster car through, but fair play, it's for position. But here we go now, closing up to not even the Ferrari now. On lap 14, this is Raikkonen in the Alfa Romeo, because in the following 4 laps from lap 10, I don't know what on earth Russell's been eating here, but like I said, ever since last episode, the British Grand Prix, I'm convinced his AI gets like a buff. and gets better in terms of stats or whatever in the game, because he is now rapid and he's just flown away from us here. We now move on to lap number 19. We're under pressure from Devin Butler now. We're in first place because Russell has already made his second pit stop here. We're now under pressure from the Red Bull car. Verstappen's not too far behind there, and my pace has really just gone away now as we spark away, making some contact with our fellow Brit in the Red Bull car. It's not only Weber's car that's got an issue. I mean, I think Weber's still way down the order here in this Grand Prix, outside the top 10 position. So it's a miserable home GP for him. But even for me, like compared to Russell, my car just felt so bad. Like I just couldn't compete with him. I think he was on the soft tyre, so fair play, and I was on the mediums. But still, you'd think eventually, when his tyre wear kicks in, I'll be able to speed up a little bit. But no matter what I did, the car just didn't feel that great in the corners. I don't know if the conditions on the track, you know, being darker maybe, so the track's a bit colder. I don't know if that affected things compared to qualifying, maybe. I'm just not too sure, so I was a little bit baffled at why we were so slow. And we come out then, lo and behold, on lap 22, and we're only one position ahead of Lucas Weber, the man who had an issue for a few laps now. I'm pretty sure his car's fixed now, by the way, but he had a mechanical issue for a fair few laps. He's now only one position behind me, so I don't know how we've managed that, but our race has just gone down the pan, basically, and so has Verstappen's really as well, because he's only just ahead of us as we overtake Ricciardo then up into P13, but Butler and Verstappen ahead of us now. We're going to try and re-overtake Butler then in a straight line. Be a pretty easy move, to be fair, for us then in a straight line. He's on the hard tyres for some reason, don't know why. The Red Bull team feel like the tyre wear is so appalling on that Red Bull chassis they can't make it through to the end, and so we're up into P12. But myself and Verstappen now have a lot of work to do to get through the traffic. I say myself and Verstappen, he's kind of making more the moves earlier on, because he's already up 3 positions then on lap 29. He's put the 2 McLarens and Lance Stroll between myself and him, so he's doing a decent work to try and put some hurdles between us two. And so here we go, closing up on Norris. But oh my god, look at this. There's a great scrap. Perez v Norris v Stroll. Where are these cars going to go? We tried to make a move on the outside, but I'm so tentative because I just don't know where the space is going to be. We've got boxed in a little bit there. We find this space to at least get up into P9, but Norris and Stroll still side by side. Stroll keeps the nose in there, and we can't make a move. We just have to sit back and kind of watch this because there's nowhere to go. If I dive in, I'm just going to get stuck in and probably span around. So just taking it nice and easy and trying to suss out when we can make this move. It's not going to be in the stadium section, I don't think, because Stroll's car, unlike the Toro Rosso, will be a bit too quick through that left-hander. And all the while, Verstappen, that Ferrari ahead of Lando Norris, is getting away from us and closing up to more cars to overtake, and obviously some more points and positions in this Grand Prix. But as it stands, Weber is outside the top 10. I'm only in P9, and Verstappen's only in, I think, what's that, P7? So all 3 championship contenders in way lower positions than we're used to seeing in this career mode so far. But we're going to try and get a move on at least by 1 position and trying to go around the outside then of Stroll. A bit awkward there, but we make it work on the outside as he hits the curb on the inside, and we're up into P8 then. But that will be the end of our Grand Prix. We've run out of laps here. The race has actually the race end has come thick and fast here, and lo and behold, myself, Verstappen and Weber are not on the podium. Neither of us are. So the top 3 that have reigned supreme this entire season so far, none of us on the podium here today. Lewis Hamilton's going to go on to win the Grand Prix. Verstappen ahead of us by 2 positions, so me and Verstappen score some low points, and Weber with 0 points here today at the German Grand Prix. But sadly then, that brings us to the elephant in the room. Of course, you guys already know what the title of the video is and what the thumbnail was, and so let me explain here. Unfortunately, the game crashed after this Grand Prix. As you guys know, I like to use replay cameras a lot in my videos to make them look a little bit better and kind of edit them together nicely. As I went to go record said replay cameras, the game crashed for some reason. Very strange. I haven't had one of these in a long while. It was like 2-3 months ago since the last time I had a crash like this, because I don't know if the game had a patch or whatever, but the game got a lot better and smoother. Never had a crash for me now for the last 3 months, but it's now cropped up again. It was annoying back then. It's annoying here. And so that entire race is lost in terms of the actual results. Obviously, I got the recording, thankfully, so I could show you what, it was obviously a very decent Grand Prix in terms of, for the championship fight's sake, to see Weber score no points and me low points and even Verstappen there, and just to get a bit of a difference of a different winner this season. It was very good, but unfortunately, the entire results was lost. So, to rectify the situation, the next best thing I thought I could do, because re-recording the entire race was not an option for me here, so the best option to do here, for the sake of keeping things fair fair as possible, guys, and you're about to see what I'm about to do here, because I'm going to show you the behind the scenes of what I basically did to make sure it's all fair. So what I'm doing here is this is a restart of the GP, and I'm going to try and ensure that all three of us, myself, Weber and Verstappen, have 0 points, have a DNF. I think that's the fairest thing possible, because I don't want a simulated race to determine the championship. Like, if I simulate this race, then there's a high possibility that Weber wins the race, Verstappen's in second or third, and the player always gets screwed over by simulations, and I'll be down in like P7 or whatever. So I thought the fairest thing to do was us to score all no points, because then no one's gained anything, no one's lost anything. It's as if me and Verstappen and Weber never did this Grand Prix. So we took out Lucas Weber, and then we take out Max Verstappen here. I had a bit of an issue with Weber, actually. I haven't showed you guys in the video, but actually you had to restart that race like 5 different times. Look, who would have thought? It's actually quite difficult to take out your teammate in a race and make sure they actually DNF, because I feel like the AI have less damage than the player in terms of their wheel coming off. But there we go. So we've retired from the German GP. That's our race over. We've taken out Weber, taken out Verstappen, and obviously I took myself out there. So all three of us scored no points. It's a bit of a shame. I know maybe some of you guys are not going to like how this has had to pan out, but obviously I can't control the game crashing, and redoing the entire thing, re-recording the entire Grand Prix, and then some in terms of the replay cameras and whatever just wasn't an option for me today. So I thought this is the next best thing in terms of making it as fair as possible, because in the past we have done that thing where we just simulate the race, and some of you guys have said it was a little bit unfair in one way or another towards the AI or towards me. So this way there's no ifs or buts. It's a fair level playing field for Verstappen, myself, and Weber. Obviously, the other AI gained on us, but myself and Verstappen and Weber have been so far ahead of everyone. I think you can already tell this will be the championship fight between us three. So I think all's fair game in terms of that. So it's the lost Grand Prix in terms of the championship fight, but obviously we still got a decent episode out of it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, because it was an entertaining episode nonetheless. A lot of fighting, a lot of surprising fighting, really, in terms of the midfield battles. For the first time, I was battling McLarens and Toro Rossos and Haas cars and Mercedes cars rather than just the Renault and the Ferrari. So hopefully you guys enjoy that kind of difference of a different makeup of the Grand Prix in that kind of way. So if you guys did enjoy it nonetheless, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Fallen content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day, and here's hoping next time the game does not crash. Till then, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.